Yeah. All right. Hello, everyone watching us live. We are the education team at the Wikimedia Foundation, and we thought we would just host a little virtual coffee today. I have coffee. Does everyone else have coffee or tea or a beverage if you're choosing? Boss, because your cup is like white, it's going invisible. All right, let's get started. I thought that we could just introduce ourselves first in case there are folks out in the universe who don't know who we are. Unlikely, but it could, it could happen. So why don't we go around and say, who are you and what brought you to the education team? I can start and then I'll ping the next person. So hi everyone, my name is Nicole Saad. I lead this amazing team from all over the world, and I'm currently located in Washington, DC, but I have previously lived in 9 other countries, including China, Taiwan, Lebanon, Palestine, Jordan, Malaysia, South Africa, US, and Germany. So really, truly global citizen in my heart. And I come from a background in teaching, curriculum design, teacher training, and policy and program management. If you want to talk to me and get help with your programs and projects, I usually help people with things around advocacy or policy related issues. And what brought me to the education team? Yeah, just the mission of the Wikimedia movement. And I've been here for 5 years. So I saw huge untapped potential for Wikimedia and education, and that's why I wanted to join the team. Not just because things were, already great, just because they could be even greater, and I thought that I could help with that. So that's why I'm here, and I'm going to ping the next person after me who joined the education team, which is Sailesh.
Thanks, Nicole.
Chronological order.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Sailesh. I work as a program officer for community support with the education team. I've been with the team for almost 3 years now. I started as an intern in 2018 with an amazing project that I worked on that actually helped me to learn a lot about the work that you are doing and how innovative these works and how different these works are. And it always motivated me oh, this is an amazing community to work with. And luckily I become a staff with the team, and it's been 2 years I'm working with this team as program officer for community support, and it's exciting. And I was with the Wikimedia movement, and this year it will be my 10th anniversary within the Wikimedia movement. So a bit more familiar with how community works, how the movement works. But it's always exciting to see everything that's happening and all the new projects or new innovations that the community brings. It's exciting to learn about, and that motivated me to work with this team. I have an interesting thing to share. Before joining this team, I was helping the team as a volunteer with publication of education newsletter. So that is also one of the reasons which motivated me. Oh, this is an amazing team to work with. Or it's an amazing community to work with. Going by Nicole's order, I'm going to ping Melissa.
Thanks, Sailesh. Hi, everyone. I'm Melissa. I'm an educator from Peru. Before I joined the team, I worked in different education projects in Peru, in Ecuador, in Panama, and I had never in my life before tried to edit Wikipedia or anything like that until I learned about this job. So I found this job while I was attracted to this job because when I saw the ad, I was working on my thesis project for my master's. And it was a research about how women from Peru who manage Facebook pages around feminist education and organizing were dealing with, like the challenges and the opportunities that this online platform allowed them for that. So I was very, very fascinated with just kind of like seeing how these digital spaces kind of mimicked or were similar or different than like the offline spaces where I had developed all of my career basically. And I was just really, really amazed. I remember about everything that I learned. The more I learned about the work of the Wikimedia Foundation and the global volunteer community, I was just more and more excited about potentially working here. And the more I met new colleagues through the interviews, it was just a really great feeling of excitement and of being in a place where I could just learn from different people and just continue growing as a professional and as a person. I've been with the foundation for a little bit over 3 years now, and I usually work from my hometown in Peru. And now I'm gonna pass it to Faz.
Thanks, Alyssa. Hi, my name is Fasanti. I'm usually based in Bali in Indonesia. I've been at the foundation for a bit more than 2.5 years now. I think when I first saw the job post, I was also like Melissa, I was still doing my master's in development studies. And I think what brought me to the education team, maybe like, my background was also working with open source community. I have a background in program planning, monitoring and evaluation. And I always have a soft spot for like learning, schools and education. I just love it. I have a passion for it. And I'm also quite familiar with the work of Wikimedia Indonesia, because before that, we kind of share office in Jakarta with my previous workplace. And I was very fascinated with their work, and I joined a couple like workshops as well on Wikicommons, Wikipedia, Wikidata, and they were all just so fascinating. So I was like so intrigued when I saw the job post, and I was so keen to work for this team. And I came to the team as a program officer, and I'm mostly working on monitoring and evaluation, and also data storytelling. So helping the team to capture valuable impacts of education work, and also trying to support the communities on capturing their impacts as well, and how to communicate that better to the world, because all of our great works are really good if we can share it to the world, I think. Who's next? Fu Ying.
Hi everyone, I'm Fu Ying. Well, okay, let me introduce myself. I'm Fu Ying Lin. I'm from Taiwan, but currently I'm based in Germany, Berlin. And I joined the team 4 months ago, and today is completely 4 months. So I was so excited. And the first time to be on air to talk to everyone, so it's quite meaningful for me. Currently my role is education fellow, responsible for higher education project. I'm trying to do the higher education exploratory project. It's a needs assessment for us to understand what kind of challenges or opportunities we are encountering in higher education, especially from the perspective of Wikimedia Foundation. And as to me, my background, I just completed my PhD in the field of corpus linguistics. It's a field about how to analyze text. My field is about spoken academic English analysis, and I'm interested in data analysis. So that's I built a corpus, which is from the massive open online courses. So it's an open education sources. So it's also the reason when I saw the job post last year, I was, wow, it's so cool, because I'm really interested in higher education, and it's also open education sources. So it brought me immediately intrigued to apply for this position. So I'm very excited about that. So if anything related to higher education, also about data analysis, please, you are welcome to contact me. And before I joined the team, I have been language instructors for, you can say probably for a decade at least. And I've been working in Taiwan, Turkey, Istanbul, and also in Germany. So I do find it quite interesting to understand students' background, especially from different cultural effects and also their barriers when they are encountering language learning or even the education aspects. So yeah, so nice to meet you guys here. So if any questions, or you are very welcome to contact us. Okay, so now I'm gonna pass to Abdallah.
Hi everyone, my name is Seraji Abdallah. I'm from Kampala, Uganda, and I work as a program assistant, education contract. My background is in education technology, curriculum design, robotics, and higher education, where I'm currently pursuing a master's degree in higher education. I'm currently writing my thesis in globalization, higher education globalization, and leadership, the impact of leadership on higher education globalization in Uganda. I love Wikipedia so much, and Wikimedia organization in particular so much. I was so much intrigued. My first attempt to join Wikimedia was when I was trying to join as a fellow. I read a lot about Wikimedia, and I was so much intrigued with the amount of work they're doing for education and the time they're dedicating, how volunteers from different parts of the world come together to try to create something beautiful in education. So I'm really passionate about working for Wikimedia, and I believe it's the best opportunity for me. In case you have any questions to do with higher education and curriculum design, technology integration in the classroom, you're welcome. Nice to meet you.
Thank you everyone for all of your introductions. Maybe I just want to say a few words. So on the education team, we have Sailesh, who's like our brilliant community organizer. If you have any questions about like organizing in communities, getting people to attend virtual events, oh my God, I almost just spilled coffee, sorry. That's live. See how excited I am? So yes, Sailesh is your person. He's been working on this really robust community organizing strategy. You can find the article that outlines it on Diff. Maybe we can like put that in the comments. And then Melissa is our brilliant instructional designer. She's created several really amazing online learning opportunities for the community. The first of which was the Wikimedia Education Greenhouse, for those who were part of that. And recently, it's been reading Wikipedia in the classroom and our Training of Trainers program. So reach out to Melissa if you are planning a training course, want to participate in a training course, have questions about instructional design. And then Vasanti joined the team as our in-house evaluator, because to us, learning and evaluation about anything we do is extremely important. We want to know that we're having the impact that we set out to have. And we want to know like what's happening with all of the things that we're doing, that we're investing our time wisely. And so like Voss is usually kind of behind the scenes, like making sure that our community organizing program is impactful, that reading Wikipedia is impactful. Everything that we do, we are learning from what we're doing and growing from it. So she isn't usually front and center, but her work is extremely important to the team. And also she's an amazing designer, and all of these backgrounds that we have today were created by Vasanti. So that's Vas. And then we joined the team as our education fellow. We've had several fellows in the past, and this year we wanted a fellow who would help us to understand what's going on in higher education right now. What is the community doing in higher education, and in the future, what would be the best way for the, in particular for the education team to support that work? So that's what Fuying is doing. She's going to launch a survey for academics this week during EduWiki Week. So stay tuned for that announcement. And then very shortly after that, we'll be doing another survey for community members. So you can stay tuned for that as well. And then Abdallah is our most recent team member. And he will be kind of the person who can step in and help everyone. And his background is perfect for that because he's got a little bit of everything. And that's really what we needed. And so we're very, very excited to have him on the team. And so, yeah, that's my additional kudos to everybody on the team. This is the most amazing team I've ever worked with. And I'm so excited that the community and all of our allies have access to all of these wonderful people. And so with that said, we have a couple of questions that it's just a chit chat coffee. So we have a couple of questions that we're just going to go around and answer. And if anyone is watching live right now and you have a question you'd like to ask, you can ask your question in the comments and we will try to get to it. And if you're watching this later and it's not live, you can still put your question in the chat. And if we have time, we will respond in the chat. So the next question is, can you tell me about a teacher who had a positive impact on your life? So anyone who wants to jump in can go ahead and jump in.
I have a story, and I think you guys have probably heard this story before, but like my team members have probably heard this story before. But I will always remember my teacher, my history teacher from my senior year in high school. His name is Jose Perez, and the reason why he made such an impact on me was, well, he was a really cool teacher, of course. He had this way of presenting history in a way that it seemed more like a process of reflection and discussion than a process of memorizing, facts from the past. But one time I was having a really, really hard time trying to figure out what I wanted to do after high school and stuff. And in Peru, you finish high school when you're 16, and usually you're expected to start university right away. So you start university when you're 17, and you have to decide on a career path when you're 17. So you enter the university to study medicine or to study law, very big careers. So I was having a really, really hard time, and we had a test, a history test, and I did very, very poorly. I did horrible, and I guess Jose, he realized that I was having a hard time, so he called me to his desk and he was like, "So you did very poorly, but all of your grades from the rest of the year are really good. So let's do this. Sit down and help me, grade some exams, and then we'll talk about the topics of what the exam that came in the exam." And so I was just sitting there, helping him grade exams. And I felt like crying the whole time because I was like, oh my gosh, I disappointed him, and I felt really disappointed in me. But he was so compassionate. And then at the end of the, I finished grading and stuff like that, or not grading, but passing the grades to a register or something. But at the end, he was like, okay, cool. So that's it. You got extra points and your scores are fine. So, and we chatted for a little bit about what I learned that year. And that was it. So I thought that was incredibly compassionate of him, and very, very kind of like a human to human kind of approach. So yeah, so I'll never forget you, Prof. Jose.
I can go. I want to tell a story about a teacher who had an impact on my life, but it wasn't my teacher. They weren't teaching me. So when I was working in Malaysia, I worked for a project supported by the Ministry of Education to train teachers in underperforming schools. That's what they called it. That's not what I would call it. And so I worked with about 30 teachers in 5 different schools. Some of them were rural and some of them were urban. And there was one teacher that I worked with who just was very had a mindset of just wanting to change the way things had always been done. So one day we were talking and I was like, well, what do you want to do? Her name's Awatif. And we are Facebook friends. So if you're watching this, hi. And so I was like, yeah, what do you want to get out of this mentorship thing? Because like I'm here as a mentor, but really I'm here as a resource for you. So like, what do you want to do? And she was like, I want to create a culture of reading in this school. Like she said that she had seen in other places, like, you know, kind of like people with like spike hair and tattoos just like sitting on the train and reading. And she was like, we don't do that. Like I just like want people to like have a love of reading. And this was in a primary school. And so she was like, and we don't have like books in the cafeteria, and we don't have like, and like the library is kind of a mess and blah, blah, blah. So we worked together and we got like book donations, and she like helped advocate for this like self-access learning room. So it's just like really a room where people could like go and relax and read, and there were just like books everywhere. And I was just really inspired by the initiative, because it's kind of scary when you're working in a school system that's very like rote and very structured to like try to break out of that box. And you know, so I was really proud of that, and like proud to learn from her in that experience. Next, who's next? We can move on to other questions too if people are.
Okay.
Oh, Fuying, go ahead.
Okay, I think the teacher who inspired me, I would like to say that my recent professor is my supervisor for my doctoral thesis. Well, the reason why, because I've been working with him for around 6 years, so I think he really has a good impact on my education. What I learned from him that, because for me, he's not only like a professor in his own specific field, he's a kind of supporter advocate for open access. So which is quite amazing compared to many professors in their own field. And he also kind of pay attention to a lot of issues like gender issues, for example, from the linguistic perspective, and also about cultural influence when he is talking to students from different backgrounds. So I really think that I learned a lot from him also from this perspective. And he sometimes we may not be so sensitive about some issues, and he will use a lot of sources and really kind of evidence to support his arguments. So I think it's quite amazing for me to learn this skill from him. So that's what I feel that's quite impactful for me in my future presentation. Also, he also trained me how to be more precise and condensed in my arguments. Yeah, you need to have a lot of concrete, solid evidence. It's just like when we are doing editing to the Wikipedia, we also need a lot of guidelines and policy to know you need to provide facts, not just opinions. I think it's quite important. Yeah, that's it. Should I pass to anyone?
I can go next. But yeah, I think the one teacher that gave me the most impact, it's not that long ago. I think it's quite recently, but it really impacted my whole worldview and like my whole professional career choices. So it was a professor in during my master's degree. I think that was like the first class I took when I entered the university. And it was, I think the class was about like theories in development or like project development, project management or something like that. But like the first paper assignment that she gave us was to find a project, and then you assess it, and then find critiques to this projects, and then how we can improve it. But so during the assignments was like the assignment period was like for a month or something like that. But like during the month, I came to her classes as well, and she asked a lot of like very challenging questions to reflect on our work as well as development worker. So I used to work with communities as well before that, but then I understand like how communities work, but like I never really thought about like the underlying issues or like why communities work the way they work, or like and it's just everything is just like and also like how colonization, for example, affected people and communities in development work and so many things like that. And so it really helped me see everything in like a more holistic way, and like always reflect on and listen to people, and like it really also helped me to build empathy towards people that I work with, especially if I work with community members. So yeah, I think that was like the most impactful teachers in my life. Yeah, who wants to go next?
Okay.
Sailesh?
I
Abdallah?
think I can go next.
Okay.
Um, my most impactful teacher, I met him when I was in first year at the university. So when I first enrolled for education, after a few classes, I wanted to switch to engineering. So I was kind of frustrated because of the choice of the course that I got at the university. So I went to his and I tried to talk to him about my issue that I wanted to change the course. So what happened, he sat me down and told me the benefits of education, how impactful you can be in the society when you are dealing with education, changing people's lives, trying to create better futures for young children. And yeah, by the time I left his office, I was really convinced and impressed that it's the right career choice. So from that day, I made up my mind that I really wanted to be in the education field and try to create impact. And that's one of the reasons why I'm here. Yeah. Another one?
I can go next. I'll say it briefly, not take much time because we're always short in time. Um, I, I'm trying to like remember a few stories, but I will share a small, like a short one. I think it was when because I grew up in a very small town, and in the like when I was 9 or 10, I had to move between like three towns or three cities uh, before like I moved to a bigger city in my state. It was very challenging for me to like cope up with everything, with understanding like how like connect with friends or understand how things work. And so I was a very shy, nervous person in the classroom. And one day I had a Hindi teacher in my school uh, who in like he found that I think he noticed in the last few months like how I've been shy. I always like try to keep things within myself. I do not like talk much. I mean, it's good not to talk in the classroom, but even like not to like being hyperactive like other kids or students in the class. So he asked me to like come in like in front of everyone, and he just asked me like, "What's your name?" And I said, "Hey, my name is Sailesh." So that was the very first time someone explained me the meaning of my name. So he said that, what's the meaning of your name? So it's like the king of mountains. So always try to be, like do best in your life, and always try to be ahead in your life, because your name suggests that you are like the king of the mountains. So you have to do the good things to be in a better position to achieve something in life. So that kind of a thing which inspired me a lot, because that was a very new environment for me. And I also like I still remember his words every time I try to do things, mostly wrong things, to understand, oh, am I doing it wrong? Should I do something differently? So yeah, he was one of the teachers who inspired me as a young student.
Thanks everyone for sharing your stories. It was really great to hear them. So the next question is an easy one. It should be an easy one, I think. So the question is coffee or tea or both or none? Or all, yeah, or all of the above.
I think
Okay, go ahead. No, go ahead. I was gonna say like, yeah, most of the time I'm drinking coffee, but I'm having like sleep issues lately. So now I've switched because decaf coffee is lame. So I've switched to tea because you have more options for herbal teas. Okay, I'm done. You can go.
I think it would be blasphemy for me to say that I don't like tea because, you know, with so many tea gardens in India, I don't like tea at all. And it's like, you know, the interesting thing in some of the city culture is that we all have like tea stalls in those cities where people like they like have teas, they kind of like talk and chat during that time, and I don't like that culture. Plus, I don't like tea, and every time like when my family they ask me, "Do you want tea?" I'm like, "No, I don't like tea." So, like people sometimes get mad at me, but I like coffee, so I'm a coffee person than a tea person. It's a blasphemy in India not to say that. Oh, you don't like tea.
We won't tell anyone.
It's not live. It's not good live for sure. Yeah.
I think it's a 50-50 for me. And I used to really like coffee. They always make me sick, but I just love it. But then like and then I found like my love to tea actually not long ago because I started drinking peppermint tea, and then I went to Morocco. I tried their what is it, their Moroccan mint tea. Oh my god, I just fell in love, and ever since then the only tea that I drink is I think only mint tea.
You have to try Turkish apple tea. I would say it's up there. I don't know, Fleeing, would you agree?
Yes, I agree. Turkish apple tea is so good. Yeah.
I'm going to Turkey soon, so I'll try that.
I will always choose coffee, I think. But I mean, I do appreciate tea, and I really like the process of like, you know, like the way that the color of the water changes as the, you know, like the tea leaves sit there. It's really nice and soothing and zen, but just coffee is just king. And also fast, my friend says that if coffee makes you sick, it's because it's bad quality coffee. So she told me very recently, my friend was like, yeah, like I always hated coffee because it made me really sick. And then she met this friend, or she has this friend that has a coffee farm, and the friend in the coffee farm gave her like some really good quality coffees to try, because she was like, no, that's the coffee, that's not you. And now her life is completely changed. Like she never gets sick from coffee, because she chooses her coffee very carefully.
Last, are you drinking Kopi Luwak?
No, I hate that actually. That makes me the sickest. I don't know why. It's the most expensive coffee in the world,
Because
but
it's like been digested by like a cat, right?
maybe. But yeah, I gotta be friend with Melissa's friend, maybe.
Okay, then for me, I do prefer coffee to tea, although I come from a country full of tea culture. Yeah, we have so many tea there, and whenever, you know, some people say that, okay, whenever I want to try to bring some souvenir to people here in Germany, my friends, they always say I bring them tea. They're very happy about that. But for me, my family and I, actually, we don't drink tea at home. Yeah, so since I was teenager, I always drink a lot of coffee. Whenever I go back home, my mom bought a lot of coffee for me because I'm a big kind of coffee addict. I need to have coffee every day. Otherwise, I don't feel, and I don't know how to start a day. Yeah, but I really agree with Melissa say that the quality of coffee is very important. Yeah, otherwise you may feel uncomfortable, or I did have some problem that is before, if I drank bad coffee, I feel, oh my God, I have a headache and heart problem, beating very fast. Yeah, but as to tea, I cannot say I don't like tea because my country is famous for bubble milk tea. So whenever you think about pearl milk tea, well, it's from Taiwan and we love it. So whenever I'm back, I also have bubble tea. But here in Germany, sometimes it's quite expensive to have one bubble tea. So I try to carry the bubble ourselves, or go to the Asian market here to buy some bubble and make cookie yourself. And yeah, when we meet one day, I think I can carry that and make this for all of you.
I love bubble tea. It's my favorite.
Yeah, I do agree with that. Yeah.
珍珠奶茶.
Yes, 珍珠奶茶.
I used to drink it like every day. It's probably bad to drink it every day, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Hello. I think I'll go with tea because I'm a great tea lover. I really love tea. And this part of the world, we love tea a lot. We grow a lot of tea. We have tea estates. Most especially, we like milk tea. They call it African tea. So they mix tea leaves and milk and ginger and some spices, and it's really amazing. So for me, I like black tea, plain tea with only water, and it calms me down whenever I'm feeling nervous. So I really love tea. I also love coffee, but tea is my favorite. Yeah.
Nice. I think another tea that I got really used to drinking in South Africa was like the Rooibos tea because it's also decaffeinated. And there's like lots of variations to that. And my favorite one is by like this, I think like an indie tea brand. I forget the name of the brand, but they have one called Devil's Advocate. And it's like a Rooibos, but with like spiciness to it. It's really, really good. So if you are ever in South Africa, I recommend to get that one. I don't know if you can buy it outside. Like you can buy Rooibos outside, but not the spicy one. Okay, so we have a couple more questions. And I think I'm gonna start with the harder one first. Let's go with that. And end on a high note, like end on a positive note. So the next question is, what do you think is a major challenge for Wikimedia in education?
That's such a hard one. I think like something that I struggle with very frequently is this is balancing this kind of like energy to be because when you enter this universe, there are so many amazing people with many amazing ideas and so many opportunities and so many, like, there's so much to do, there's so much that can be done, but the resources or the priorities or the time is very limited, or like it kind of like it doesn't. Yeah, so there's always there's this feeling that, oh, there's so much more, and there's so much more to do. And so I think that's a really big challenge. Like, how do you decide like which opportunities to go for, where to invest your energy, and all of that. And I think yeah, like I'll just stop with the challenge, because then I was thinking like, no, immediately thinking of like, oh, but there are also all of these other good things that could help us address those challenges. But yeah, but the point is the challenge. Yeah, so much to do, so little time.
I can jump in. I would say, like, not just from a perspective of like a staff, but as a community member also, being part of this movement. One of the biggest challenge for us has been like how much we need to tell our story, because our story is important, whether it's a successful one, whether we had some challenges. I remember this thing. I was in Berlin in 2019, where I was part of a training of the trainer program, and it was Shani who told me about this. So I just like forgetting a bit because it's like 3 years back, but when I said, "Oh, this was my challenge and this was my failure," so Shani corrected me, saying that, Silas, there's a learning in the failure as well. So everything that we do, there's a learning out of that. So maybe if it has been a failure for you, but your learnings could help other person, to succeed or to make some changes with the work that they are doing. So that statement always inspired me. That's why I love Wikimedians. They're so brainy. They are so amazing. So I would say, like, as a movement, we need to tell our stories, because otherwise no one will, where we are based in or where we are. It doesn't matter, because I have done this work. I know what challenges I have been through, or what new developments I've done. So I think, like, we need to, like, together. It's not like a thing that can be done in a day. It needs more, like, uh, building more connection, building more trust within the community. So we will do that. We will slowly or quickly try to, like, achieve this. But yeah, I would say the biggest challenge for us is that we as a movement need to tell our story, not like to everyone, whenever we can.
I think for me, coming from like a monitoring and evaluation perspective, I think a lot of the big challenge is like, so I did like this research back in 2019 about like how our affiliates are doing their evaluation and like how they capture their impacts. And I think one of the challenges, like a lot of our education community works very valuable impacts, not only to students, but also to teachers, to the larger education community. They don't receive as much attention as they deserve, I think. And it stems from many things. It could be like two of the biggest reasons from the research that I found was that there could be like lack of capacity or lack of team members, number of team members. They just don't have the time. They only have a small number of staff members, and don't have the capacity to collect all of this valuable information. So they stick with like, what is it? The usual metrics that they can capture, and also lack of resources to help capture those valuable results, and also like a challenge in like sharing it to the larger community, so that the learning does not just stop there, but so people can learn from it as well, and get inspired and get motivated to do more Wikimedia in education activities. So yeah, a lot of aspects come into this challenge. Yeah, I think education community work should be more getting more attention. They deserve a lot more.
We're very not biased at all.
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay, well, for me, from the perspective of higher education, because I'm doing this project and doing my research project until now, before I started the survey, I've been doing another collection or research collecting, and I noticed that I think that will be the biggest challenge for from the education in Wikimedia. That will be, for example, how to get the recognition from the academia. And actually, I noticed that many academia, they really pay attention to the open access and also the contribution of Wikipedia. However, it's kind of mental shifting, and or probably need some certification or official recognition for them, because that will be another kind of difficult issue to deal with. So I think that'll be also another challenging for it will be another challenge for us. And the other part will be from the affiliate side. I do think that there are so many affiliates that are so devoted to doing this, especially when we pay attention to the newsletter they contribute and also their efforts they've been doing this. And they really, as Vas mentioned, that they really need to get more attention and also more credit. So probably, and also how to connect them with the academia. It could be probably a challenge or direction for Wikimedia in this part. That's what I think. So yeah.
You've done a lot of synthesizing in 4 months.
Yes.
It's really impressive.
Thank you.
Abdallah, we know that you're like brand new, but do you have like just maybe like from an outside kind of a newcomer perspective? Like, what do you think's bigger challenge for Wikimedia and education?
Thank you. I think the major challenge comes from the diversity of cultures and countries and people around the world versus the team that is working day and night to make sure that the people have this beautiful product to try and change education, open up education access for different people. So because of this, I see a very big challenge trying to people around the world. Another challenge that I might anticipate is maybe trying to strengthen and empower the affiliate communities, because if they're not empowered enough, then the projects and the programs will not reach the grassroots levels properly, and the impact will not reach the people that it's intended for effectively. Yeah, I think that's what I can think about.
Thanks. Okay, I can chime in. There's a lot of challenges, I think, because the education sector itself is full of challenges. And those challenges are also our challenges. And then the Wikimedia movement is full of challenges. And those challenges are also our challenges. So we have these kind of like two, I don't know, it's kind of like a Venn diagram, right? Like of like Wikimedia movement and education sector. And like, we have to find the common ground of where we can make an impact in both for the goals of both. I think that's our challenge as the education team. And it's also our challenge to get both sides to see the other perspective. So like if I'm a Wikimedian and I just really care about like new content and I see kind of like, oh, I can get teachers and students to like write articles. It's not seeing the full picture. It's not seeing the value of our free knowledge projects on learning and how it can impact students and teachers, make teachers' lives easier, help students learn vital 21st century skills. So part of our challenge is like bringing those two worlds together. And then like in terms of impact, like the mission of the Wikimedia movement is that everyone in the world is able to participate in the sum of all knowledge, right? But much of the world is not literate. So how can they read Wikipedia? Or, people don't have access to internet. So that's also a challenge towards the mission. I mean, there's bias against forms of knowledge that aren't like ratified by academia, like Fuying has mentioned. So that's a challenge. So that's why I think that there's like what Melissa said, like there's just so much opportunity to make a difference on both sides. And we're a very, very, very small team when you think about the scope of the work and the mission and the challenges ahead of us. So yeah, it's a very interesting thing to think about. And if you're watching now, maybe like put in the chat what you think some of the major challenges are, or like, do you agree with what we said? Would you add something? Would you contradict something? And so, yeah, so we have about 10 more minutes and we have one more question. And so ending on a high note, the question is, what's your proudest accomplishment that you've done? And if like you've been with us for 4 months or 2 weeks or 5 years, what's your proudest accomplishment in around Wikimedia and education? And like if you've been in the movement for 15 years, it can be before you joined the education team. So it can be really anything. I'm gonna have to call on someone.
I can go.
We're still shy.
I think the proudest accomplishment for me was is like the way we connect with our community. In not just like the way we connect with the community, like different ways we like do an introspection on whether to understand the spaces that we provide to our community members, whether they're equitable or inclusive or not. Then we make changes, we bring new spaces for them, and we try to connect with them. So I would say that's a huge accomplishment for me. And I also want to like say that, you know, this is an amazing community. When we were talking about the challenges, I was saying, oh, probably the pandemic was one of the biggest challenge for our community for this moment. Like, you know, just imagine when our programs or everything that was happening offline, like more Wikimedians going to schools, doing trainings and everything. But this pandemic like made changes. Like we adopted a new normal, and you know, going through the newsletters and everything, it was so inspiring for me that time, that how quickly within a month or two the entire way of working changed from the community, and from a offline like, how do you say, like offline way of working to bringing courses online, bringing trainings online. I can name some of them. Wikimedia Indonesia did the Wikilalit program, the very first ever online Wikilalit programs. Then other chapters, they brought their programs online. So I would say why I consider this as one of the accomplishment, not my accomplishment, but you know, hearing these stories, whether through affiliates meeting, whether through other events, through newsletter. So hearing this story or regional meetings, hearing these stories all like always inspires me, and you know, gets me excited. Oh, I work for an amazing group of people or an amazing group of Wikimedians and team.
That's so nice, Ailesh. Same, and also, I think there's always two things for me that give me this big sense of accomplishment. Because I think there's constantly like little wins in this kind of work. And it's really nice because you constantly feel inspired, like Sailesh mentioned. But to me, it's those moments at like the end of an intervention or the end of the program, when I start talking to people, to volunteers, and they're like, oh, like now I can go, I feel super confident and I know how to talk to like teachers or principals or, you know, like government officials about how my work is valuable for the education sector, why Wikipedia matters, or, you know, like why this is important for them and this can be impactful for them. So supporting volunteers to make that kind of connection and grow those kind of skills and knowledge on how to better work and better partner with education institutions in their countries is just huge for me. And the second thing is just every time you know, you learn about how something that like in my case, like I sat in front of my computer and, you know, like spent months talking to people and putting together and like, you know, sitting from my home in Peru. And now what I created is being used, you know, by, in the case of the Reading Wikipedia in the classroom resources, like these are being printed and given out to teachers in the Philippines, and also they are in the website of the Ministry of Education in Colombia. You know, and there's all of this really big sense that your work is touching so many corners of the world, and that's just like, that just feels really, really amazing.
I think for me, also similar with Melissa, every single time I do like monitoring and evaluation, at the end, I read all of these comments and like testimonies from participants. It just warms my heart, and like how proud I am of the work that the team has been doing. But also like, so this is probably like very small, but like, so I've been doing like lots of like this design sources for the team as well. And like I was so proud that like a lot of teachers found the booklets and the modules to be useful. And like recently I made like some, for the EduWiki week, I think, I made some design for them. And then I also try to make like a, what is it? To make like a guidelines on how people can adapt it to their languages. And then when I first saw, I think the first few days I opened it, nobody tried to translate it. Maybe I didn't create like a good guidelines or something, guidance or something. But then like, I think a couple days later, I saw someone started translating it. And I'm just like, I'm so proud. I was so happy to see people actually is using the resources that we created, and like and yeah, so happy, and hopefully like more people will use those resources, and those guides will find the guides helpful to help them localize more of our resources. Yeah, I think that's
I don't think it's small, Voss. It's but like you're so lucky that you have design skills. Like I don't know where we would be if we didn't have you on the team being able to like we would just have ugly stuff that no one wants to look at, basically. Like thankfully we're getting more help now around that, but like, you know, the first edition of Reading Wikipedia in the Classroom, like if it was just, I don't know, the rest of us trying to put that together without any like design kind of sensibilities, it would look fine, but it looked amazing. And so thank you. It's not small, it was big.
Okay, for me, the biggest accomplishment, I think I would say that, well, I've been looking for ideal team or the colleague for a long time, and I was very surprised and very honest to meet all of you guys here. I've been always trying to look for something I really want to do, and I want to do something related to technology and also open access education. And I think that's the biggest dream. I've been doing this for many years, and I couldn't look for from Taiwan or position there or in Turkey, and then in the end I came to Germany for my study, and then I end up, you know, exploring and finding this team. I was really so happy, and so far I really enjoyed the work here. I learned a lot. Before I joined the Wikimedia Foundation, I knew Wikipedia a bit, but it's always from the outsider perspective. So when I enter here, wow, it's such a big mission, and actually it's so meaningful thing. It's something I really want to contribute to in the future. And so I'm so people here are so helpful. Everyone is so talented to provide your skills and experiences, and I really feel so warmed and so welcome. And so I think that's for me is the biggest accomplishment for me, that I found you guys here. Yeah.
Abdallah.
My biggest accomplishment at Wikimedia education team, it's just a sense of belonging, and it's a sense of being loved and being able to contribute to a cause that is going to help transform millions of people's lives in education, through education. The idea of open access to education is one beautiful idea that can help empower communities in different parts of the world and try to change their situations to better situations. So I really feel proud that I'm part of a team that is contributing to that cause and working here and night to make sure that it's success. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I would say my proudest accomplishment is on a similar note. I think that my proudest accomplishment is assembling this group of people. Like my main job is to make sure that everyone here can thrive, and I try. I know that sometimes it's better, some days are better than others, but I am so proud of this group of people. I think that everyone here is the right person, and how we work as a team, and how we get along, how we support one another. if someone needs help, there's always someone who can jump in and support, even though we are literally spread like across the world in like every time zone. We still find time to support one another and connect and accomplish like a hell of a lot sometimes. And so most of the time. So just, yeah, I think like your all of the success of everyone here makes me feel proud just to be part of this team. So thank you, everyone. That's our time. And so if you're not watching live, you can still put comments or questions in the chat. We'll be, we'll be snooping there from now on till the end of the week. And there's a lot of other really cool events happening this week, so you can keep a lookout on the Facebook page. Silas, do you want to say anything about EduWiki stuff in general before we hang up?
Sure. Thanks, Nicole. Thanks for organizing this amazing coffee session with the education team. It's the day 2 of the EduWiki week. This was our first live session of the day. We have another one in 2 hours, which will be, in 2.5 hours, which will be a chat with some colleagues from British Council. Stay tuned for that, learn about their work and how their mission aligns with Wikimedia's mission. And we have some trivia, some theme of the day. If you want to thank a Wikimedian today, it's today's theme. Send Wiki loves thanks to some of the community members who helped in organizing some amazing activities in your affiliate or in your region. And tomorrow, the most important thing of this EduWiki week, we have 9 community stories to share tomorrow. It's at 13 UTC tomorrow. We have stories from many countries, from many community members. We have it's a very diverse space. We have stories from programs, from using tools to dashboard and everything. So stay tuned. If you're registered, you can join directly with the Zoom link, or you can watch it live on Facebook or YouTube. So that's all from me. Thanks everyone for joining today.
Thanks everyone. Bye.
Bye, take care.